some energy.
No, I can't do it either. Yep.
Sorry, I came back to some energy.
Okay.
I've sort of find myself in a bit of a helpless spot. You know, taking on this role as director, I thought, hey, finally there could be some bite. Thing is, with the series of things that we have to deal with, there just isn't the bandwidth. But the moment I became director, the amount of corruption and idiocy just continued to increase, where I think my position is seen as a excuse to be worse because, well, Brian's there, so if there's actually a problem, you know, the marshals will tell us to stop. But you can't do that when the very tools that have been provided to us are utilized to, you know, cover things up, to where like you end up in this situations where we can't do anything. We can't. And the problem is some of these veterans that are at the helm of corruption know full well, unless they're not mentally okay, which I'm trying to side on what's the word I'm looking for? Benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah, I feel like we got to see that in full force yesterday, and my current mindset is I plan on suing them to the high heavens for what I witnessed.
As you should, but it shouldn't come down to that. I mean, look, I'll iterate just what's on my mind so you recognize where my energy is coming from. I was the third member of law enforcement that was targeted in a span of an hour and a half. By individuals looking for my phone, and what that should dictate to most is that, you know, that should dictate to most that, they're seeking information likely for other, you know, it's something that's going to put civilians or other people at risk, right? Big deal.
Yeah.
Let alone the fact that a officer kidnapping, if we cannot protect our own in those situations, how the fuck are we going to protect anyone else? And the absolute dejection I heard on the radio was I had to put in my own fucking 78s. And now that might not mean anything to y'all, but the moment you typically should hear a cop is being held, the third cop, mind you, everyone and their mother should be on that shit. Like, it matters. Just like it should matter if a bunch of little birds hit the air. Because in your mind, you would suspect there's a grave threat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
And then I heard about y'all's situation, and then even that fucking shootout over there. It's over a deputy mayor that not a single member of law enforcement went to. Let alone the only one that they did was where the deputy mayor was shot inside his apartment, and we had to begrudgingly get a statement from the one cop that showed up. It's
Max Angel.
Max Angel. So I can't believe, I'm sorry for what happened to y'all. It's disgusting to me. I don't know how to look. You have a record, ma'am. I get that. It shouldn't matter in these scenarios.
She's expunged there.
I got expunged. But yeah, I did have a record.
But even if you did, right? It's very evident that y'all have put yourself in danger, exposing a grave threat, a threat that is behind the distribution of weapons, militant attacks on law enforcement and civilians, and you put yourself out there and it feels like I don't know, like it doesn't matter. Like the people know who you are. I know because the PD radio was shocked, was ready to drink the fucking tea over the information that you put out there. But to consider that, you know, to for y'all to show up and no one give a fuck, given what they know is happening, is just disgusting to me. And unfortunately, I can't fix that.
I have to be honest with you. Just before you called, we were just having a conversation about I guess the bigger picture for us and what it looks like. And I have to be honest and say, yesterday made me wonder why the fuck we're even doing this for.
Yeah. Just feels a little bit pointless given the reaction from yesterday. And now Nora's in the ICU because people just couldn't take 2 seconds to talk to us.
We crashed a car into the MRPD car park, and we were like maximum 10 yards away from them, asking, like shouting, screaming for help. And yeah, nothing. And we just
You were
repaired.
even calling Ruby, weren't you?
Yeah, she put it down because she was in a meeting. So like, if I wasn't there, I get that. But yeah, we were literally.
I don't think that matters, though, right?
To the point where Bella could hear me.
Yeah.
She was 15 yards away-ish. We basically just repaired the car and left because that was our best hope. And we were stood next to police officers.
Jesus.
Yeah. And as soon as we left, the helicopter was back on us, and before we knew it, we were being shot.
The problem comes down to its core, right? And I'm sort of exhausted from even advocating for it. I'm slowly losing my own steam because I think the harder I push, the harder there's pushback, and it's you know, it's like, you know, there is more interest in fighting fighting for the sake of fighting, right? An argument rather than even dialogue, right? It's just the truth of the matter is, I think a good portion of law enforcement that is left are there not for the right reasons. They're there for the wrong reasons. And there's so many at this point that those who would otherwise handle things properly, they themselves are now dejected, right? Right. If you're surrounded by so much incompetence and not, you know, elevated for the right successes, I mean, why would you even try anymore, right? And I know this sounds a bit doomy, and I by no means am done, right? However, I have to face reality, right?
Yeah.
And then figure out what's next.
Sounds like we're in a very similar position.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of crazy that we all seem to be feeling the same kind of way, given it's different things, but we can understand that, you know.
That's why the bot is not posting, even though Nora's in the ICU. We've overridden it today just to buy some time to decide what to do.
I wish I had a... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say there's a part of me wants to fucking burn it all down. I'm sure you've noticed the tone of the articles has been... it's somewhat damning, but it's not completely specific, and that's by design.
I actually haven't seen anything that was posted the last 3 days.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything.
Oh.
We paused it when we all got out of the ICU in the hope that, you know, that was the warning. But they just kept coming. It's been relentless. Culminated in what happened last night. It's very clear as well that this is Well, Charlie has told me this is not the actions of the faceless. These are the gangs.
Wait, who said this?
Charlie.
He's trying to convince you that the gangs are doing this without their approval?
Not that he doesn't approve, that you just tell me the faceless are not coming after me right now. It is the gangs.
That's bullshit.
Well, they basically are the faceless.
On that front, I can tell you that things are changing. I can't go into the specifics of what I've been doing. And some of what I am doing, even other marshals are unaware, except two. And those conversations are very, in a very soundproof room. If you get my meaning.
Yeah, I'll get you.
However, what I will explain is that some of those gangs no longer work for the faceless.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that they'd necessarily come to your protection, right?
Yeah.
As I think many of them are leaving. I'll tell you one slice of something that is pretty, I don't mind explaining, but I ask that you keep this close to your chest, as it can be utilized against, it can cause some damage if it gets out.
Okay.
Way back 3 months ago, whenever I first started interfacing with Brandon, I think around the time I became the director, I started to explain and pose to gangs the following. Number one, you as gang members, don't you have like a blood oath to each other? Like some sort of semblance of like, we are this gang, we are above the next. Yet you all bow down to this entity like he's your daddy. Willing to do whatever they ask in return for something. Now mind you, we had known for some time, Sassam and even the detectives of, the weapon relationships and whatnot. But I started to point that specific thing out. You see, a lot of individuals even suspect that I tend to function on having to manipulate and lie. But the fact of the matter is the truth hits heavier, right? Because eventually that truth comes out. And that's when I started to point out a simple flaw in the logic that a lot of these individuals have. Now, when you put 10, 12 gangs together, do you think they're not going to work against each other to get a bigger slice of that pie? Now, over time, I think those doubts started to materialize. Specifically, when I started to mention that different members of different gangs, unnamed, say more than they think. And that it is for those reasons that I began to become aware of who was involved in what. Now, mind you, 90% of that information never came from any particular individual. It came from our very extensive investigative reports. Consider heat diagrams, right? Who's caught with what? What is the condition of those things? Eventually, over time, after weeks of information, it starts to point at things, including but not limited to some of the new gear that has been hitting the streets as of late. But they don't need to know that. And then Brandon actually began to snitch. And we're not talking about small things. I mean, pretty heavy things. Keep in mind, for the initial 6 weeks or so, I don't really remember what the first time we interfaced was. It all started with me wanting to bring him in, question him about some past events. And the initial way that he'd approach it is he complained that he had not been brought into interrogation, but the moment I brought him into interrogation, his conversation was no better than a 2-bit weed dealer, right? I ain't gonna talk. I ain't gonna tell you anything. And then what the fuck's the point, right? But the moment those like on recording conversations would end, he would call me back afterwards, initially starting with the notion that he wanted out, that he couldn't get out. But about halfway, then he started to provide some information that was things that they knew I already had. Because like I said, my interrogations are typically pretty, how do I put this? I'm fairly open about what we have on individuals, right? I don't like the notion of just like sitting back and holding it. But eventually he started to rat out a lot of the connects. And I think I've told you this before, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the Faceless expected him to do what it is that he said. I don't think they expected him to provide as much information that they did. And so when their plan fully went into play, I started to let others know. Because he's no longer someone that I need to protect. He's a member of the Faceless. And if other crews know this, why in a fucking million years are they going to work for the Faceless, knowing that they're going to be next?
Yeah, I have to be honest and say the Brian article, I guess I was less neutral with that one. I can't lie. Charlie and Mr. Blue and Brandon got to me when they fucked with the newspaper. I'm sick to my stomach now when we wrote an article which they've used.
The one that was supposed to be... You're talking about the one with the...
10 steps ahead. That one, yeah.
The one with the hidden message.
Yeah. Guess we got blinded by our I guess our thirst for information with everything that's coming on. You know, I want to tell you something, Brian. The signs were there as well. I feel like a fucking idiot. Remember the day you came to the office when you found Ryan Kane's severed arm?
Yes.
Around that time, Brandon had been just started to make contact with us about the article. And when I walked into the office, I was actually on the phone to him. And
you're on the phone with Brandon?
Yeah, when I walked into the office, and he said when he obviously didn't know, he didn't see what we saw, but he heard our reaction to what I saw. And he said, "Do you want me to come and give you a hand?" And I never really paid attention to what he said until afterwards. And when I realised what had gone on with the article.
The Faces come off as more intelligent than they truly are. Most of their power comes as a consequence of other gangs, right? And with Brandon being one of those in their think tank, I'm not... When that hand was given to you, I think that was before the reveal, no?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was probably just after the first time we'd met with Brendan, which was just off Substantia Road when he told us what was going on with him.
Yeah, nothing really did come about that, unfortunately. I mean, I still put my finger on like Helios or, you know, Matthew Colby, or it's
I think there's a chance Helios is going to be in danger over the next couple of days.
the problem is do you remember like about 2 weeks ago I had mentioned, like, I think either you called me first or maybe vice versa. I had caught Forehead and Andre in a car together, and I immediately put 2 and 2 together. Andre just straight up said he was looking for you and Nora, but then oddly enough, you were then told, if I remember correctly, that you are not the target. And then it turned out that Leon was taken. Thankfully, we had gotten a tip off and had prevented him from getting dumped in the water. I mean, still got destroyed. But the thing is,
Ready to check.
Still going to be Ocean King. I don't think they're going to stop, because you are fundamentally, they need you and Nora and Leon to have been the reason for the information being out, when it was always their doing. Unfortunately, and I guess this is just how destiny kind of goes, is the very legislation that we need to release the Brandon tapes. Charles Danger, right, got ripped out of office, and now we have to hope that Denzel is willing to back this piece of legislation. Now, we have alternative hooks, but I don't think that's going to I don't think that's going to prove it to everybody. However, I don't think the besties are working for the Faceless anymore, for what it's worth. And this didn't come from me. Mm-hmm. I'm letting you know more from the sense that
fucking hell, I've got a crazy article coming out about them.
Yeah, so interesting.
I am... How do I put this? I don't think PD is going to be able to protect you. And if you find yourself in a tough spot, it may be worth working them. I highly suspect the ADMC, who has been on their last leg, may fall into suit. I don't think you're ever going to convince Habibi. Trying to think here through the list. Chaos Legion, and in fact, I would say that if there was a crew that I would, I think you should talk to Shang. And
because today, funny enough,
the problem, so the besties I know have been wearing away. I've been working them for a minute. They've tried to come to me to get effectively police reports. They're not very intelligent is the issue. They can't read between the lines. So when I say some things like, I can't outright release reports, right? That's just, I'm not going to jeopardize what SASM is for anything. Integrity still matters. But let's just say I've been whittling at them for some time, to the extent that they've been looking for, they effectively, how do I put this? The last conversation, 2 conversations ago, I met with Forehead, and he wanted to like ask me follow-up questions about Brandon. And it sounded like he wanted like effectively a report, like something damning, which to me was odd because motherfuckers go to war over rumors. Yet when everything points at this guy ratting them out for his own good, it's almost like they were looking for an excuse. And absent a report, I don't know if they're fully willing to believe it, which is why, despite the fact that I have evidence that they have cut ties, I'm not bringing it up to them, nor would I necessarily entrust you under them beyond matters that immediately benefit them. Does that kind of make sense? Like if they're busy, if they're not busy and y'all had an understanding, they may come to protect you, right? But a simple bank truck is going to take priority, right? It's just how it is. ADMC, however, especially the conversation I just had, I believe if they are whittled away from the faceless, and like I said, I think they're on the cusp of it. I don't think there's certainty. I've been speaking to Shang for some time. In fact, the very conversation I had today was on the topic of civilians, that they are at least people that would respond and drop everything, right? Now make that for what you will. I am not asking you or telling you to join a gang, but I recognize we live in a city where, you know, things are more complicated than just cops versus crims. And
I don't know. I actually used to work for, I guess, Mr. Shang at a Double Die before we started the paper.
yeah, I would very much recommend not bringing up anything that I just said, but rather I would explain to him the trouble you are having and the lack of police response, right?
He's
And I think he may sympathize.
He's somewhat aware of some of the problems. We had like a 10-minute conversation on the phone a few days ago.
Who, you and Shang?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I
Strange conversation. Part of me thought it was him trying to see if I was going to release something about him, and the part of me thought it was him. I don't know whether he was being genuine. He said we should carry on. We provide a service and we should carry on doing what we're doing.
Your best bet though is New Babylon out of the three, because they're the ones that
I just don't want to bring this type of heat their way, Brian.
brother. They you say that, but the PD is obsessed with New Babylon. The chief is obsessed. His direct reports are obsessed. That's not going to change. But the one, and the reason I say it this way is, you know that their position against the faceless is going to be unwavering. Whereas a month from now, that could change with any other group, except for ADMC. ADMC is the only group that I'm aware of that actually has a, like, you know, how do I put this? When it comes to this kind of stuff, they're trying to find the right way of explaining it. Fancy toys are not going to change their thought process, right? They have strong beliefs. And that's assuming that they actually distance themselves. Like I said, that's sort of the vibe I got with the conversation I had just had. And I for what their crew has tended to represent, I don't even think it necessarily would sit well with them, knowing that the faceless have been putting energy into going after fucking civilians. Right?
We were 2 weeks ago when I went on the run and spent the weekend in the woods. I was actually going to I was heading to New Babylon, and everybody was like called off us. with everything that's happened. There's so many people I care about in New Babylon, Ryan, with my history in Franks. I just don't know if I can bring this to them, to their doorstep. I don't know, I've heard things. I know they.
I understand. You mean the wrath of
I've
the faceless.
seen enough people I care about get hurt recently.
Frank, I think you need to convey that to Lang and let them make the choice. Give me a sec. Hey.
Hey, are you Ocean King?
Yeah, I'm Ocean King.
I saw you in the middle of nowhere, so I just want to make sure.
McNulty's watching overhead. I'm just having to have a conversation with Frank and Nora.
Oh, okay. All right. I just want to make sure you're Ocean
Bella.
King. I just got out of the hospital, so I didn't know what was going on.
Understood.
All right.
Talk to you soon. This is such a strange position for me to be in, to just even say, like, you cannot trust the cops to protect you. It sickens me to my core. But this is the pattern, and I just truthfully, things aren't going to change anytime soon. I have to face that reality. I by no means want to push you into criminality, nor do I think this would necessarily do it, but at least you could live, I don't know. Everything fucking hurts.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that almost wants the faceless to just set the fucking nuke, but just wait for us to hit the bunker first.
Yeah.
It's, how do you change? This is a mentality problem. I can't, I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't change the mentality. It's a fucking disease. And it's metastasizing and has been for a very long time.
Yeah.
Do you know what prions are?
No.
No.
I really wanted to say yes, but no, I don't.
Yeah.
Prions. So there's tribes, cannibalistic tribes around the world, right? And those tribes, they eat, right? People, right? Either dead family members, or actively they will quite literally just eat people.
This isn't because you were talking about New Babylon, is it?
No.
Okay.
And so what happens is, inside human flesh, they can contract something called prions. It's like almost like a virus. And those prions will attack your proteins and effectively reprogram the proteins in your brain. The disease, and you end up getting, let me see if it comes in the top of my mind. What is it called? You end up getting, fuck, I forgot what it's called. There's a word for it. It's some kind of prion disease. But anyways, it ends up turning you effectively into like a zombie. And that's kind of the best way I can explain what's going on with law enforcement. I think it's called Kuru. Kuru. And that's the best way I can explain what's happened with law enforcement. Enough prions enter the fold and it just kind of changes the mentality, right? Priority number 1, maintain your job. Priority number 2, maintain the job of your friends, right? Everything else comes secondary.
Yeah, I do need to say I highly suspect, I've got no concrete evidence of this, Brian, but when we were taken yesterday, I highly suspected the lead person was on the phone to Charlie. Charlie has a very unique way of saying my name. He always says, Frank Skinner. And the person who did it, when he put the phone down yesterday, it was exactly how he said my name. He seemed to me like he was being directed a couple of questions to ask me. And then he kept walking away to tell him the answers and then walk back to ask another question. Ask me about it. I'll put it in the report, but one Parliament one, I don't know what it means.
One Parliament one?
Yeah, he said, Charlie has said the word Parliament to me on the phone before, like with a lot of emphasis. It seemed like maybe Charlie was trying to figure out what it meant. Because he said to me, what does one Parliament one at Life Invader mean to you? Because they'd found us at Life Invader, because that's where the Chronicle bot is set up.
One Parliament one?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a master code?
I have no idea.
So that's very strange that you mention that, because I'm going to share something with you. And once again, this is something that I'm hoping is useful to you and might answer some of my questions down the line. We believe that the Sky Node was being and may continue to be redirected through what the fuck is it called? The fucking Epsilon building. Not the, where the fucking sex cult lives. I know they're not actually a sex cult, but you know what I'm talking about.
Doesn't surprise me. Me and Nora have seen Charlie inside that building.
And let's just say I did as well. Alongside an individual he was trying to track down. And it seemed like it was unintentional. Let's just say I was doing an operation in there, trying to uncover what the extent of that building's intent was. Now, I want you to consider the following. The liquid library came from the Faceless.
Yeah.
And Max Angel has been hopping on that dick for a while now. Now, when it came to the Esgelon, the same cannot be said. In that it was provided, however, not all of them fully decided to comply, right? Now, you may ask yourself, well, why? What would the value be? I think the answer is pretty simple. You have a civilian front. All the while inside the building, you're doing some of your dirtiest business. Whether it's like, how maybe the tablet works. Maybe it's a relay where it stores information. A lot of those CCTVs, we believe, I say specifically relays from there. Now, there's an antenna on the top, and maybe that's the full extent of it. I could not find a data center inside, but like I said, when we were running the op, Charlie showed up. And he very desperately wanted to find the man that walked in prior to him. Now, keep in mind, neither Charlie or this other individual knew who we were. We're undercover. But this second individual, he was wearing a black suit, a red or orange tie, and a white shirt. And he had like a cat mask or like a wolf or something. Something kind of kitty-like. Almost, if I were to put my finger on it, almost like a Japanese, like, kitty mask. Where only the front part of his face was hidden, while the back was open. When that individual initially came in, now mind you, so first we heard Charlie seemingly on the rooftop. We could hear the radio chatter. We could hear the creaking. And then this individual came in, the one that I described, this unknown man. He saw us, almost acted as though he was meant to be there, then left. Then Charlie came back. And he demanded to know where that individual had gone, and he was really upset with individuals on the radio for not finding him or him slipping through the cracks. I suspect it's either a rival group maybe some relationship with the Oracle. I can't say for certain. Right?
You know, we were just talking about the Oracle the other day.
But given the fact that I couldn't find, and it might still be there, right? Secret rooms, this, that, and the third. A data center, I believe it may just be a relay. But based on our understanding, that relay may then get redirected to Life Invader. So maybe this ties to that one Parliament thing. I'm uncertain.
We spent a lot of time in the new Epsilon building when Eliza gave us keys a while ago when the Faceless were first looking for us so we could hide away. Probably spent about 2 weeks back and forth in the new Epsilon building. One day, Charlie came round doing like a security sweep of the building.
Mm.
He didn't recognise us. We were wearing like a Epsilon clout.
Oh, so you're doing exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I feel like y'all two should just become marshals.
I was joking about that the
And
other day,
Nora.
I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
I was like, I should just be a marshal. I like finding out stuff, looking into stuff. Could be fun.
well, but at the same time, if that were to happen, there'd be no civilians left.
I know.
It's just fucking sad truth of everything, right? Everything just deteriorating into cops and criminals. But look, I am serious about that if that ever does become something you're interested in. The city desperately needs a care for things that matter, civilians, this, that, and the third, and it's just the mentality just isn't at this time.
Too busy. People are just too busy caring about themselves. They forgot the bigger picture and everyone else.
I wish it was forgotten. It's just actual lack of care. It's like, you know how I would describe it? It's like, imagine you were hired onto a basketball team, right?
Mm.
And your coach told you that winning the game is more important than caring for your fans, sportsmanship, etc., etc. So when those basketball players start knocking down other players, getting into brawl fights, you know, with their own fans, all those other things get swept under the rug. And sure, that basketball team might be winning their games, but no one cares to watch them. No one shows up at their games, and then they wonder why.
Yeah.
But as long as they are programmed that the only thing that matters is a score at the end, then nothing's going to shake that. And every new person that joins that basketball team, if they don't share that common thread, they'll never get brought on board, and then the cycle just continues.
Have you even seen what they did to me, Brian?
No.
God.
Jesus. This is over at Fort Zancudo, right?
Yeah. Look like a fucking elbow.
I think more like a lukewarm pit bull. But Mr. Worldwide.
They took a lot of information yesterday, Brian.
Wait, okay. I'm just having this realization, and I do want you to continue there. This is after you and Bella were already attacked.
Yeah.
Why again?
I guess, yeah. You did
Everyone wants their bit.
Yeah.
It was, we suspect it was SK. I know. So McNulty responded to you, Bella, as I believe there was like a 911 about shots fired, but nobody responded to you, Frank, and I didn't know why. I remember, I think it was like Wednesday morning. I saw the report. It was
Probably
empty.
because was Ruby the lead officer by any chance on duty?
I can't say. All I know is I saw your report the next morning, and all the marshals went out to go. They said you were found under the bridge at Fort Zancudo, so we went to go look for evidence. I will say, and this makes me sick to my stomach, is that the gun that was used to shoot Bella, so we didn't find any blood or any tracings for what happened to you, Frank, but the guns and the casings that came to your shooting, Bella, tie back to the incident where I was kidnapped at the airfield, and also utilized on a scene where a LSPD captain came and didn't document. I believe that SK likely shot you and likely still has the gun, but no one did anything.
I can tell you SK didn't shoot her.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a member of the manor?
I can't confirm that.
We
suspect so, but I can't
heavily suspect it's the manor due to a series of things, but then again, guns do get around, right? Wait, why do you say Ruby? I'm surprising.
Just because she was the officer I was screaming to help for yesterday.
What?
Yeah, she was one of them.
Ruby York?
Yeah. I said a few things I shouldn't have when I was pissed off afterwards. I called her Mrs. Blue.
She's not that bad.
I know she's not.
I think in that moment it was a lot, you know?
Yeah. The reason I know it wasn't SK that shot her is because I was sat next to him when she was shot.
Huh. Then that puts me on DJ Cooper and the ginger.
Steve. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, both of those individuals were arrested the day of my shooting, so it may have been SK's gun that was handed to them.
I think if whoever's going through my phone subpoena should find something interesting, put it that way.
What if I were to tell you that Ruby is likely one of the last members of Command Plus that actually acts like law enforcement?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. My
but I mean, given what happened to you,
you know, but yesterday was crazy.
I
don't think I've ever experienced anything so like that I was scary and frustrating at the same time. We were literally in cover, having crashed our car, pleading for help, and just nothing.
And they were just watching?
And then when the car did go out and had guns pointed at us and us with our hands in the air getting into their car, these cars just strolled past and fucked off.
I mean, granted, Brian, with everything going on, we were blacked out to try and fit in with people with the city. But you tell me this: if you were at the State Marshal building and 3 blacked out individuals ran into cover, wouldn't you at least, would you gun out or something, find out what the fuck's going on? They just, even though we were screaming, asking for help, they just went about their meeting. It's more important than the City Chronicle.
They were stood outside in the car park having a meeting, and we were literally yards from them. One cop even got in his car and drove away.
Ryan, you should know. I think some of the things that were stolen from yesterday, I think Helios might be in danger if they find something.
Helios isn't going to be in danger.
It's,
If he is in danger, I would be shell-shocked. Because Helios is likely been helping Colby. He's way too connected to their top guys.
Be
very weary of him.
Oh, trust me, I am. I had 20 notebooks. They were basically fake, but each one of them was a newspaper planning, and every one of them had the headlines from each newspaper. And about 20 pages into number 9 was some of my thoughts when I was in Echo. And I wrote down that I highly suspect that Helios knows a lot more than he told us.
He does. 1000%.
Okay.
I don't think we well, it looks like someone's doing the right thing by trying to ACR Carmine. Wish more people did that. Helios, I don't know what level of involvement he has. The thing is, sometimes friendships can lead to a lot of things, right? You know, hey, yeah, you can stay here. Yes, you can have a key. You overhear something and you don't pass that information on, right? I mean, it's like,
yeah,
y'all were attacked by the fucking manor, and they're fucking clean guys now, the damn mayor. Voted in by the LSPD.
I just found out about that. Bella just told me.
You know, I think the thing that is unfortunate about it all is PD knew this for months. Excuse after excuse why not to kick the doors in, right? People are so afraid to hurt someone's fucking feelings, right? But when it's others, oh, bring in the fucking cannonballs. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that's going to. I mean, it's going to cause some problems, but I'm just kind of pointing at the absurdity of it all. Have you talked to Ruby at all after all this?
She has actually called me while we've been here and sent me a text saying, "This is Ruby. Please call me when you can." I'll call her in a minute.
I'm in and I say this as the city's in a very challenging spot, right? You almost have to beg for help. And while what I hear, Ruby, mind you, she was also on duty the day I got kidnapped, right? And I think my words were, PD is fucking dog shit, fire them all. Now, I'm not by any means defending those actions that led to what happened to you. But the problem is that if you point at any other member of high command, they're going to do 10 times worse. So hopefully making her understand might go a long way.
Yeah. Might be best to talk to her today. I was very angry yesterday.
Like I said, she's texted me, Frank, so we'll call her afterwards and arrange a meet up.
Okay.
You know, the problem is, even when it comes to this stuff, is I already sort of like know how the conversation's gonna go.
Can you stay here a second, Brian?
Yeah. The conversation may go, oh, but I didn't know anything about that. No one told me. Yet the reports are littered. Like, regular reports are littered about this information. You know what it is? Nowadays, you need, like, a fucking person to come down from the skies with, like, fancy abilities. Like fucking Jesus, right? Like whether it's Mr. Blue or Charlie or, like, Dark, like Delta One, like someone with magical powers to be like, today I want to tell you about some secret mission. Frank and Nora are currently being targeted. Bella now as well. We need you to help protect them at all costs. Now all of a sudden, like, that feeling of importance starts to set in.
Yeah.
And you've provided them a mission. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to make a fake identity. And I'm going to start giving PD missions.
I think they'd like that. Tell them they'll get a yacht engine or something if they do well.
If you're able to protect him for 2 weeks, we're going to give you some information. Information that I know you desperately need. I'm going to do this right after this meeting.
Yeah.
Just keep it amongst ourselves, all right?
Yeah. Maybe we can cook up some ideas and tell you them. Good, Frank?
Yeah, I'm just debating what to say. How to say it.
Say
it. I've made a lot of mistakes, Brian, since we started this newspaper, and just in life in general. Feels like the biggest mistake I've ever made was recently. I was a large part of the reason they confirmed that Leon was investigating them. Did it to save Nora.
Oh.
And Charlie took a great pleasure in showing me the pool of blood inside that building. It's a mistake I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. I warned him as soon as I walked out of the echelon, but it wasn't enough. He went to the echelon to save me and to try and stop all of this.
Who did?
Leon.
Is that why they took him?
No, they didn't take him. He went there.
God fucking damn it. Leon had nothing to do with any of this.
No, he told me as much, and I trust him.
How do I put this? If he ever had any information to give, it wasn't looked at for more than 30 seconds and never put anywhere.
Yeah.
Did you ever receive a USB?
I've received a few from Leon now. I did receive a file from him.
Okay. The like a red string board.
Yeah, but part of the reason I'm me, Bella, and Nora are going through what we're going through is we already had our own. And it was much bigger than that.
I'm so genuinely confused. this is why they're coming after you?
It's all kind of tied together, I guess, yeah.
I genuinely don't know how to make sense of this, because not a single action that has been done against them is from either y'all's information, regardless of whether or not it was put out there or not.
But like last night before they shot us down, what did they say, Frank? Like, we don't give a fuck about the bot or something. And then
yeah, just report whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, and then shot us. So it's like, it doesn't make sense. I don't.
Yeah, clearly they did care a little by the fact they were blacked out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I knew I was on the run from the gangs the moment I walked out of that meeting, because by them being present, it basically confirmed that everything on in our investigation was correct. The very fact that they were standing in that room, not a single one of them denied anything. So.
Huh.
That's why
it doesn't add up. I mean, do you think it's possible, like, they are... I'm just so confused by this. Because, like, deep down, like, my hypothesis has been you and Leon have been used as sort of like scapegoats for Brandon's actions. But the more you tell me about this, the more I'm like, wait, maybe they don't know, like, themselves. Because if they had gone after you once, right? Okay. Like, that makes sense. But over multiple times, I start to believe that they themselves are convinced y'all have been, bringing it up to us.
Yeah, I think I do think they think one of us spoke to you. They I believe Charlie or someone said you told Forehead about magazines or something. So I think I saw Leon's file now that Leon talked to me and assumed one of us has spoken to you.
Say that again, sorry.
I think they saw Leon's documents, my documents, and then they thought one of us had spoken to you because it had the same information, whereas your information came from your own investigation by the sounds of it. Snitches get stitches and all that.
Yeah, but who, Leon? Yeah, but that doesn't. Huh. See, that would make sense if he had been actively snitching.
Yeah.
And then where does that leave the rest of them? But then again, I don't know what it is that Leon may have said, right? We suspect he was shot in the Estrelon building. And there is a reality where he took ownership of most of that information getting out. But that's the only sensible thing I can think of in the back of my mind.
Yeah, like I said earlier,
I don't think Charlie. So here's my current disposition, is that I don't think even Charlie knows what Brandon told the marshals, both on and off recording. Yeah. I think if anything, he may have given like a vague. Brandon's kind of a dumb fuck, right? And it's possible that between what Brandon said and just the weeks of shit that we've been gathering, Brandon may have never actually, you know, like he might deny it, right? Why wouldn't you? Right? Like, oh, what did you say? Oh, I didn't give him that much. I just told him a little bit of this. Little they realize that he quite literally confirmed a lot of the evidence that we already had. And if Leon took ownership of some of what he said, maybe they're operating off a false premise. Not that it matters at the end of the day, right? Because y'all, Leon, many others being against the Faceless would be enough for them to want to hurt you. But it's just the obsessiveness is what makes me truly believe that they themselves may not know. I think the more we talk, the more I'm coming to the conclusion that these reports do need to get out there in front of the public. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the only weapon I see us having.
Leon, me and Leon spoke on the phone a couple of days before. It might have even been the day before he went there. To be honest, Brian, the first question he asked me is, as Brian said, how long it's going to take for these reports to come out. That was his last hope that was going to clear his
Brandon?
name. No, Leon.
Yeah, fucking red tape.
Yeah.
It's
And he saw the danger I was in, and he walked in that building to try and take the heat off me and save me. Even after I fucking gave him up.
Leon put himself into danger, Frank, and I want you to recognize that. I spoke to him the days following up, and to the extent that he was under New Babylon protection. So for him to have left, it would have been his own choice. Now, granted, he may have done so to protect you, but you cannot trade with these people because those trades are never going to be fair.
Yeah. Can't really tell you how bad I felt when I saw Leon's blood. It stayed with me forever.
Jesus.
That is my weight to carry. So.
Can I ask you something that I haven't quite been able to piece together? And I recognize that there's reasons for this, so don't think I'm completely absent of, why did you continue choosing to meet Charlie as far as going to the Estrelon?
Part of me, if I'm being honest, is intrigued. Part of me also feels trapped, like I've got to. That's the honest answer.
And look, I don't hold that against you, obviously. I mean, you're a news reporter. It was worth pointing out, right? It's oh, God damn it. I don't. I'm just kind of in my mind space right now, just thinking about everything that we discussed and just not really knowing full well what the next step really is. I mean, in many ways, I look at it like this, is the faceless will continue to thrive the longer the police department is in the level of shambles it is today. Everything is a moment in time for a lot of folks rather than a saga of things. At some level, I would have hoped that the moment PD or the Chronicle bot started posting things out, people would put you up as heroes, especially among law enforcement.
Almost feels like we're the villains.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the people that have been posted, they use it as like a badge of honor, and they use it to advertise events that they're doing and stuff. It's very interesting.
I mean, in a rather apathetic way, if you think about it. And the only thing that matters is the bank truck, right?
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, aren't we meant to be getting class 2s off the street? Hey, these people are exposing weapon dealers. Holy fucking shit. The amount of times I think back at how rarely civilians are willing to come and try to get help from law enforcement. We have folks who are willing to put themselves out there at risk in order for justice to be served, and they're just put on a fucking platter to be eaten apart.
Yeah. Did you say that that Chronicle bot stopped when it did because the next one was going to cross the line with the faceless, not so much the gangs? It's information the city needs to know at some point.
I feel like it needs to know the truth sooner than later.
Yeah.
And I think I just don't know what the avenue is going to be. It's going to be very telling in the next couple of days as to whether or not the new mayor is going to accept the release of reports. There's a real chance he won't. I mean, he doesn't answer to anyone but his gang leader, right?
It's just behind you, Brian. Belays took it. Where you went originally. Yeah, let's just say the next article was going to be every single word that Ryan Keeger spoke in that video.
I think that's the kind of thing that the public should see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait until our situation's a bit safer before we release that.
Mm.
But I agree. Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Y'all stay safe.
Yeah, you too.
You.
Did any marshals help you?
McAllister helped after I was in, offered help after I was in the ICU.
Yeah, I told them to get you into safety immediately. Didn't want to risk you getting picked up from the hospital.
Yeah, Charlie called me when I was in the back of the car, funny enough. Oh, gonna get out of here. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. Y'all stay safe. And hey, maybe going forward, and I'll do the same, continue no more conversations over the phone just in case, you know, sometimes I wouldn't want your phone looked at and their presumptions being made, right? Oh, look, the director's talking to Frank again. Sus. Even though that's completely reasonable, regardless of circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will tell you, if you keep an eye on this week's newspaper, you might already know this, you probably do, wouldn't surprise me, but the camera that was left where you were stabbed, very interesting locations that exact model is in around the city, and it'll be in this week's paper.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Brian.
Y'all stay safe. All right, I'm back on radio. Bruh.